All right, folks, welcome back. It's Tuesday, 8:02 or something like that. I was hurrying up from work, and as you all know, we own a small business, so we're trying to do this on the side, keeping people informed. Welcome back. I know we were here yesterday. We said we were going to do this just about every day this whole week, so we're doing that. Man of my word. Not sure it's going to happen every day, but to the best of our ability, we're going to get out here and just have a conversation with you guys. Lots going on. First day of early voting. And I know some of you just do not trust the system and you're going to wait till the very last day. That's fine. That's all cool and dandy. I get it. Most patriots want to not that early voting is not being patriot. What I'm saying is a lot of folks just they want to wait to the very end because they feel like stuff happens during the early voting and on and on and on and on. I'm not going to tell you here that you're not well to do it that way either. So all that said, did you go out and vote? Because that's why we're here. We're here just to simply remind you, get your nalgas out of the chair and go vote. Again, for my non-Spanish speakers, that's get your butt out of the chair and go vote. We might get a couple of guests here on the fly. If not, we're going to be here just for a little while. Just again, stop your whining and start voting these clowns out. We do have just a couple of things we want to show you here. Bear County, we're tracking Bear County because we're down here in Medina County. For those of you who are watching and or monitor this, our activities, we're simply watching what is, I guess, Austin, San Antonio, the western counties like Burnett and Johnson City area, 281 north, all the way up to Coryell, maybe even Wilkinson. Could go over to the east side, but really then it gets that's a little out of our realm at this moment. Although we have a lot of contacts out there, but then all the way into West Texas. So if you live out there in Rankin, which is Big Lake and or McCamey, Texas, out there, Reeves County, Alpine, Marfa, Texas, beautiful area down there. Uh, we are going to try to capture a lot of the stuff that's happening out there all the way to El Paso. We got a lot of friends out there. Not so much today. Remember, today's the first day, so we do have some return on votes. I'm going to show you Bear counties right now. Looks like the Republicans are whooping, but as far as voting in the primary first day, let me show you these numbers here real quick. Let's go here. Uh, as you can see, and I'm going to scroll down here real quickly if I can find the actual page here. But these are if you're in Bear County, okay, this is you. Now, remember, and this is my biggest gripe about the way they gerrymandered all these districts is it looks like and it actually is a lot of these districts that go all the way into South Texas, like into Brownsville and McAllen. Guess what? They touch parts of Bear County, every the southern parts of Bear County, because it's a really huge county. But for instance, CD 23 goes all the way to El Paso. So if you're in the 281, and I know some folks who are watching from far away, just bear with me here. But if you're looking at the map, 281 sort of splits right San Antonio right down the middle, left to right. So if you're in at 281 on the northern side of 1604, and that's that outer loop, and you go all the way to El Paso, that's congressional district 23. But my point being here is you would think El Paso, West Texas would have their own congressional district, but it doesn't. It touches Bear County, which is why we're putting these up. And these are all the voting places. And I'll make one last case, like Congressional District 15 and 28. I think that's the Cuellar and Gonzales on the Democrat side, down into McAllen, San Juan, Texas, all the way to Brownsville. In those parts, if you look at those districts, they literally zigzag from way down there into the you know innards of Bear County. So believe it or not, everything in between here and McAllen or Brownsville, all those counties in the middle matter in as much that they are overweighted by Bear County and the bigger cities on the extreme. So if you look at one more, that's it. Congressional District 35, it goes from Austin downtown all the way to San Antonio downtown, and it looks like a little dog bone. They gerrymandered the heck out of that this last year as well. And but you would think, why do two towns connect like this? Well, it's just all part of remaining in control, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. All that said, this is Bexar County here, which touches at least 7 or 8 congressional districts in some form or format. Because and not to mention, that's congressional, that's federal, not to mention state representative districts. There's at least 40 in here somewhere. So I present to you, this is today's votes according to Bexar County. They just posted this. Linda Ruski, what time did they post this? About an hour ago? Folks, I'm just talking to my trusty technician. She's on the earpieces. When did they post this? Okay, it's not been very long, is what I'm being told. So it was zeroed out until we just got this now. So then this is our goal, to present to you these numbers. All right. Everything here from total votes to date to the left are Democrat. I'll show you there real quick. And then, of course, everything the Republican side is on the right. These are the different places. Claude Black Center, Cody Branch Library. There's at least 25 places you can go vote here. Maverick Branch Library, McCrellis Branch Library, Memorial Branch Library, Northside, Our Lady, the Lake has a university, has a place for you to go vote. Palo Alto has a place to go vote. Go down here into the Shabano, Somerset City Hall. All these are places. To Tobin Branch Library, I think that's up there near Northwest Military Drive and Hebner up there. So again, lots of places. So here's the totals down here. Check this out at the very bottom. 29.99 Democrat votes today. And this is what I said earlier, that we're literally kicking butt. 3,743 votes on the Republican side. Not bad for a first day. And we've got 2 weeks of this, and then a final vote March the 5th. So this is looking pretty good. The biggest vote count is coming right now from Wonderland of the America's Crossroads. So that's one right here. And then, of course, Tobin Branch Library is another one because it's a key part of San Antonio up there near Northwest and Hebner, maybe Wurzbach up there. All that said, these are some of the bigger places. Mission Library, 118. Maverick Branch Library, 157. I want to say there's a 200 one here, but Cody Branch Library is another one. If you're out in Fair Oaks, I think that's the one for Cody Branch. I'm not sure 100%, but that's a large vote out there. So if you're heading out San Antonio, going towards Bernie, you'll see Fair Oaks. The bridge is slides across I-10. That's that area up there. It begins the, I think, Chip Roy district, and then of course Congressional CD23, which is the Tony Gonzalez district. All that said, we're going to try to bring to you a lot of these other places. If I go to the Valverde elections, there's nothing there right now. I'm going over to the what's the other one here? Those are the precincts as well. And this one here is Uvalde County, still doesn't have anything here. So it looks like Bexar County is flying through the night. As soon as the election is over, those tallies get done, and then they put them out there. It closed. What time did they close? 7 o'clock, Linda? Yep, 7 o'clock, I think, is when the polls close. We'll confirm that. We want to make sure you guys have plenty of time after work or leave early to go vote. And then, of course, at these literally posted about an hour later. So we're going to keep bringing back to you as much information as we can. But here it is. This is Bexar County, huge county that affects a lot of congressional districts, to include state representatives. And of course, if you didn't know, we've been saying this for a little while. Ted Cruz is running up for re-election. Remember, he ran against the guy from El Paso. Can't believe I just forgot his name. Menso Beto O'Rourke. And of course, cleaned his clock, but now he's got two candidates in the Democrat side that are vying to be the primary Democrat chosen one after March the 5th. Colin Allred in Dallas, Fort Worth area, somewhere up there. And then Roland Gutierrez down here in San Antonio. And this surprises me. If you look at these numbers, 2,900 to 3,700, almost an 800 difference here in votes. And so I'm a little suspect of this. I think this would be inverted, because a lot of folks are trying to get out and vote for Roland Gutierrez again against Colin Allred. Literally, you've got North Texas and South Texas vying to be the Democrat chosen Senate primary opponent to Ted Cruz for the November election. So, and of course, I think Ted Cruz got a couple of opponents, but he's going to cruise to the election without a problem. And of course, then we've got to get him over the hurdle come November. So that's Bexar County. We're going to try to bring to you Valverde, of course, Uvalde, and all the way through Highway 90 as much as and as far as we can down to El Paso. We'll move up north into the Senate District 24 area. That's the Pete Flores district. That would be Burnett. You go up to Lampasas, Llano, up in that area. Cool key races in those areas as well. Ellen Troxclair up in that district. If you remember, she was running to replace, and she did, Kyle Biederman, who, after 3 terms, I think, decided he wasn't going to run again, and he helped her. In fact, he was helping me as well when I was running for Senate District 24 against Pete Flores. So he literally, was campaigning. He's in the Fredericksburg area, businessman. He owns, I think, some of those Ace Hardware stores and a couple of other businesses. But Kyle Biederman literally helped Ellen Troxclair get elected. She did a lot of work as well, but don't get me wrong, it helps when you had the incumbent push you, and of course, endorse you. And that's what happened in that race. Since then, Ellen Troxclair has voted like 59 others, a total of 60 Republicans, to impeach Ken Paxton. And so Kyle Biederman has gotten off the sofa and said, we're not going to have any of that. So he's now running against her in a very weird situation. So imagine that the incumbent helps you get elected, and then he comes back and says, you did it the wrong way. He's pretty much called her a rhino, which is probably what she is. And I'm saying to you, if you voted to impeach Ken Paxton, to me, that's the litmus test. And but I heard a wonderful line today, and I don't know that I can get some of the candidates on here. It was a last minute. Tomorrow is when we're going to start to have some candidates on board. Today was just another one of these brief. It's the first day. We don't have a lot of data. Tomorrow, I hope to have the 5 or 6 top counties for CD23. And then, of course, for Chip Roy's district up there. And then see what's going on in San Antonio. But back to Ellen Troxclair and Kyle Biederman. It's all niceties, folks, until these last 2 weeks. How many mailers have you gotten? I mean, I have got a ton of mailers. Yeah. I can't say that on the air, Linda Ruski. Okay. If you'd have heard what she said in Spanish after I asked that, that'd be just crazy. But anyway, yeah, just put your Spanish lingo together, folks. And then there's just a ton of it. There's a ton of mailers that are just now pouring in. Another key race as well is West Verdell. Also in the Medina Bandera. This one goes all the way to Junction, up into Brady, which is, I think it's McCulloch County. And this is the West Verdell, if you didn't know, real briefly, ran for CD11, which is up in the Midland, Odessa area. That's another huge congressional district. If you didn't know, it goes from the West Texas northern part of I-20, and then it stops somewhere up in Amarillo. Because up in Amarillo, remember, you've got Representative Jackson. He's the former medical doctor for Mr. Trump, President Trump. And so West Verdell ran in CD11, and it also goes all the way across to San Angelo, and all the way back into the Brady area. In 2022, he ran against Andrew Murr. We call him Murstache. Total traitor, this guy. Total traitor. Another fake Republican. I'm not a fan, as you can tell. But he since saw the light and realized I better retire before I lose my any more political savoir-faire. So he's out. And for the longest time, West Verdell is running on his own to be the only Republican. And within, about 2 or 3 months ago, you have a guy named Hatch Smith. That's literally his name. Hatch is, I guess, his first name, Smith. And literally we did the research. So this guy's never voted in the Republican primary. Imagine that. They want you to believe that some guy who's never voted in the Republican primary is going to make for a great Republican. And that's sort of what's happening to the state of Texas is you've got big money not going to release and give up power. So, here's West Verdell doing the best he can to go in there and win this. Hatch Smith pops out of nowhere. And when I tell you we've gotten a lot of mailers, I'm not sure where Hatch Smith came from, but he's obviously got a very powerful endorsement or backing because I've gotten at least 10 mailers, and those aren't cheap, folks. I mean, you're talking $12,000 a pop for a representative district. If you're running a congressional district, you could be scoring $25,000, $30,000 for each mailer. And so, all that said, that's another one we're going to watch. West Verdell against Hatch Smith. We have endorsed and/or support. West Verdell. He's true patriot, good man, constitutional conservative, and wants to do right by his family and the great state of Texas. So we were going to ask you to consider him. Please just give him a look and then go from there. But again, I'm leaving these Bexar County election polls here. So if you see something near there, and this is where you got to go. You got to go vote if you're in the Bexar County area. If you're out here in Medina County tomorrow, I'm going to put the locations here and a few other places. A lot of you, if you have questions, just send us a message. We'll be happy to give you any information that we can. And so with that said, let me see if I can find, want to show you. I'm going to unshare that one for a second and bring me back here. And then I'm going to share with y'all, where's this window? What I want to do is literally bring up this one here. Give me a second here, folks. Let's share this window. Boom. Here we go. All right. So a lot of times people don't know who to vote, not necessarily on the representative or the congressional district sides. The big ones like, Senator Ted Cruz, we all know if you're a conservative, you're a Republican, you're going to go vote for that guy. But in this case, I've got three folks up here. This is Gina Parker, Lee Finley, and David Schenck. These three are looking to be district judges for the state of Texas. All right. And why have I put them up here? Because a lot of times we go vote, like we already know, we don't want to vote for Tony Gonzalez, right? And if John Cornyn was on the ballot, I wouldn't be voting for that guy either. But the ones that kind of escape us, and tomorrow I hope to have the ones for the education, for there's like 10 or 12 educational district gurus, and they're the ones that help put together curriculum and all across Texas, and they're the ones that disseminate that to the districts, and that's how your kids learn or not learn about sex education and to what level. But these three folks here are attorneys in some form or fashion. And in the case of Gina Parker, she ran before and lost. But and if you look at David over there, he was a former Texas 5th District Court of Appeals. But back in 2020, when we weren't paying attention and a whole lot of conservative judges got just literally smoked. And by the way, that was during the I was mad about in 2018 actually. That was during the Beto O'Rourke and Ted Cruz run. And the Beto effect was that he lost, but a lot of the Democrat judges or a lot of Democrat judges won. And so David's one of those that fell short to that. Now, why am I've got these here? Because if you are going to go vote, put this down, put it in your face, take a picture with your phone. Remember, if you see any of these folks on your ballot, you want to vote for these folks. And why am I saying? Because remember, 9-1 judges voted against Attorney General Ken Paxton, or in this case, just the Attorney General of the state of Texas cannot pursue voter fraud because the district judges said that that's reserved to the the city attorneys, county attorneys at the city and state level. And so The quick version of that is George Soros 4, 5, 6 years ago has been given millions of dollars. Like for in the instance here in Bear County, the Bear County district, George Soros gave Joe Gonzalez about $1 million to for the campaign, and he won. And so he beat out a guy named Nick LaHood, who's already, I think, a Democrat. So then this other Democrat, more extreme, beat him, backed by George Soros. And so George Soros is the enemy of the United States, in my opinion. But so you get a guy like Joe Gonzalez in San Antonio, crime spikes. They're not really going after hardened criminals, murders, and all of a sudden, crime spikes. I've said that twice. But this happened in Houston, Illinois, Dallas, Chicago. George Soros successfully helped a lot of judges get into key positions, and they're very loose with in law enforcement, which is why you have a lot of illegal aliens in places like Houston that pretty much get away with just walking around like they're citizens when they're not. All that said, uh, at the district courts of appeals, nine and nine 9-1, they voted to not give authority to the Attorney General of Texas, in this case, Ken Paxton. I'm trying to take the name out because I don't want it to just be synonymous with Ken Paxton. It had to do everything with Ken Paxton because he was actually going after voter fraud. And can you believe our own judges, Republican judges, stopped the Attorney General from going after voter fraud? And what they said was, that is a responsibility of a guy like Joe Gonzalez down in Bear County, or pick any other county, that it was not the Attorney General of Texas. Imagine that. The law enforcement enforcer of Texas, the Attorney General, take the name out for now, cannot go after voter fraud. And what was the intent there? The intent there was that guys like Joe Gonzalez in Bear County would do it. But he's a Soros puppet. He's never going to go after voter fraud. And if they did, guess what? They're going to get little slap in the hand. Let me give you a perfect example of that. There was a politiquera, and that's Spanish for ballot harvester. And if you remember O'Keefe, right? O'Keefe, the guy that goes with the hidden cameras and gets you to say stuff. Remember, he had a camera down in San Antonio, and he caught that lady saying, "Oh, yeah, I've got a few people in the bag." By the way, one of them was Peter Flores, the senator in SD 24, which nobody made us think about it except for me, because that's why I ran against him. So here you have this lady helping, and at that case, I think it was Mauro Garza. Remember, Mauro Garza was running, I think, for Congressional District 15. So there's this lady they caught on video saying, "Yeah, I give stuff away and I get people to go vote." And they were ballot harvesting, and she got caught on camera. Whatever happened to her? Well, the answer is nothing. And if there was anything, it might have been a slap in the hand, because Joe Gonzalez at that time won as the judge, and he went after her for voter fraud. Let me doing this with my fingers. The answer is nothing happened to that lady. Now, if Attorney General Ken Paxton in this case wanted to go after her, he can't, because guess what? The District Court of Appeal said that's not in your it's not in your purview, which is insane. Like it's just plain stupid is really what it is. So, back to these three people right here on your screen. If you see them, you got to vote for them, because they're conservatives to replace the Rhino Republicans that literally told the Attorney General of Texas he cannot pursue voter fraud. You know what our number one biggest problem is while we're during elections is voter fraud. Voter fraud. And now more so, we have a bunch of illegal aliens here in the country who are probably going to vote, and nobody is going to enforce it, because if a George Soros judge or attorney general or a district attorney general is in place, guess what? They're not going to chase these people down, and so they just cheapen citizenship and our vote. So all that said, this is why I'm bringing these folks. A long story, but we got to give you the background. Why are we replacing Republican judges with these people right here? Because the Republican judges we have in place right now literally are bought off, sold off, something or the other, because they won't allow an attorney general of Texas, in this case, it happens to be Ken Paxton, to go after voter fraud. And guess what? we have a lot of voter fraud. So, all that said, if you see Gina, Lee, and or David here, or sorry, the honorable former judge, David Shink, please vote for them. They're going to be on a ballot somewhere in the entire state of Texas because these are large districts. You see that, and I think Gina's going to be in the Bexar County, Medina County, maybe even Bandera, but just keep an eye out for these. I'll remind you every day because that's what we're going to be doing here either way. So, all that said, one more time. Okay, so all that said, what we're doing here is giving you this kind of information. Let me see if I don't think Bexar County has updated anymore. Linda, can you tell me if they've updated at all? Yeah, we're checking here to make sure that we leave you with the most up to date information. So once again, here's Bexar County. Uh, yeah, the numbers haven't changed. So this is going to be the total for the end of the night. We'll bring you Medina maybe tomorrow, and probably late tonight. But we're not going to be here for 4 or 5 hours. We're just going to do a quick hit here. Again, getting everybody to go vote. Stop your whining and start voting the clowns out. Let me reiterate one more thing before we go here. And I've said this before. The problem that we have is that in November, a lot of you will or won't go vote based on who's on the ballot. So I ask you this question, as I always use as an example. If Tony Gonzalez is on the ballot, are you going to go vote for this guy? And I have to tell you, a lot of even hardcore Republicans are saying we're not going to do this. By the way, this is what I was going to say earlier. Uh, Town hall somewhere tonight. Somebody was quoting, and this is while the sheriff of the county is in the town hall. Some constituent gets up, says to the other candidate, I'm going to vote for you. And but the one liner is he turns around, looks at the crowd, says, "You're a fool if you vote for Tony Gonzalez." And so this while the sheriff is sitting there. By the way, here in our own county, in Medina County, I don't understand it. Sheriff Brown has endorsed Tony Gonzalez. And so I'll hold true to what I just said from that town hall. Our commissioner, a couple of our commissioners, former county judges, are endorsed Tony Gonzalez. And a lot of our constituents, a lot of voters, we don't understand that because Mr. Gonzalez has been Senator Pete Flores. Pete Flores, Republican, was fundraising for Tony Gonzalez. Again, you're either a Republican or you're not. And that's the point here about why we're on every night at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be here to remind you, don't complain when your government tells you to wear masks. Don't complain when your government, because guess what? You didn't go out and vote. You cannot complain if you didn't go vote against closing your churches. You cannot complain if you didn't go vote against mandatory vaccinations, because guess what? The people you're voting for today, they're going to replace. There's plenty of good candidates out there. You just have to research. We're going to throw some out here. We already told you West Verdell, Frank Lopez, and CD23. Yes, and I'm going to say this: you've got Julie Clark is running out there because we want to make sure everybody knows we're trying to be fair, but understand that we've picked a few horses that we think are the ones that need to go. But in CD23, you got Julie Clark, you got Brandon Herrera, and Victor Avila, who I think is from Dallas, has moved down here to run in this district. And so they're running against Tony Gonzalez. West Verdell's the only one running. Well, no, West Verdell's got a Republican primary challenger as well, which is Hatch Smith. We're telling you to go with West. So the bottom line here is you've got to get out and vote in this election, not in November. And I mean, November's not here. You got to vote now so that you are inspired to go vote for West because you actually got him over the primary hurdle. The biggest problem we have in the Republican Party is that the establishment has more money most of the time, actually all of the time. And this is how they get their rhino establishment puppets into the November election. And then the next thing they do is they give you the old, song and dance. And which one is it? Keep it red, keep it red, keep it red, keep it red. And when you hear a guy like me saying, I'm not voting for Tony Gonzalez, they shun you because they tell you that you're not a good Republican. Yet Tony Gonzalez is a censured Republican. Pete Flores, our senator in Senate District 24, fundraise for him. We got the former county judge in Medina County fundraising, and he's running for Medina County GOP chair. So I'm not understanding uh, why we would vote for that guy. By the way, Pat Aiken in Medina County, that's who you need to vote for. Medina County GOP chair. She's a Republican women's group president and is now running to be the Medina County chair. Let me go to the Bear County now, because for all of you who are listening, I know some of you are from different place. We got a large audience, folks. It's just not down here in Texas. I mean, and we've got people in other states that listen, but the preponderance of our crowd, our listeners are North Austin, down here somewhere in the middle of the valley, and then back into West Texas. So I appreciate all of you who are listening. But let's go to Bear County for a second. The litmus test for voting, because there's three people running for Bear County GOP chair. Okay. One of them is Chris Coons, Robert Flores, and there's another gentleman out there. I forget his name. We're going to try to get the name. But here's what you should ask all three. Are you going to support Tony Gonzalez? Because if you look at all three, okay, Chris Coons is the former Republican women's Sonterra president, something like that. I think she's let go of that so she can go run for Republican GOP chairperson of Bear County. Robert Flores, also, he's a good guy. He's got his own job, business, or whatever, but he's running. He's involved in politics. When I ran for CD23, he helped us out. I like him. He's a good guy. In fact, he's the one I'm going to ask you. Go vote for Robert Flores. I know the other gentleman as well. I just don't know his experience. But I think if you had to choose, it would be between one of those two. Robert Flores, GOP chair for Bear County, is the way to go. And now the others, but even Robert and any of those, the litmus test for the Republican chair of Bear County needs to answer the following question. Did you take any money from Tony Gonzalez? Some of those folks did. Are you going to support Tony Gonzalez? And if the answer is yes, then you need to say, you're not going to get my vote, because we literally need to clean house. I'm going to remind you, they closed your churches. They made you wear masks. They stopped your kids from going to school. Okay. They made you vaccinate to keep your job, and you're going to vote for the same people who followed that ideology? No way in hell, man. You got to change it. And this is where it happens in the primary. And this is why we're here. I just got off of work, came in here, slicked up the hair, took the dust off my face, and I'm talking to you all about politics so I can get you inspired to go do what you need to do. But I said it yesterday. I said it the day before. I'm going to say it tomorrow. It is not enough for you to go vote. Get your nalgas and everybody else's nalgas in your family off the chairs and go vote. You don't want to early vote? Then plan for Tuesday, March the 5th to do it, so there's plenty of time, so you don't get in line at 6 o'clock and you're like 3 hours out before you can vote, and then you turn yourself away and you go, I'm not doing this. Folks, the country needs you. The state of Texas needs you. It's time to get out. And I'm going to say it one more time. Get every Christian ought to be able, standing on the rooftop, telling every other Christian, go vote the Bible. And it's really easy. You just have to look at the records. Who defended us against an illegal alien invasion? Because it's in the Bible. We have boundaries. We should not be allowing aliens into our country, because then they will become the masters. And that's not what we want. We don't want our kids. We don't want our kids to be put in danger. Today, I was reading something in Midland, Odessa. 5-time deported illegal alien finally, bad, terrible. Finally got unlucky, and literally tragedy hit. He killed a 10-year-old boy. He was walking home from school. He was drunk, ran him over, and he fled the scene. They caught him, and now he's held for in jail for murder, or whatever the case may be. I was a little appalled. It was only $175,000 bond. For a guy like that, you need to stop $2 million bond, because he should never get out of jail. Guess what? That is happening across Texas and across America every day. And you know who's not reporting it? The news, the big media giants are not. They're just not reporting it. We're going to wake up 20 years from now and realize the highest crime rate that has ever happened was because we let a lot of people come into this country. And you can stop it. You literally can stop it, but you're going to have to go vote, and go grab a few friends who don't vote. And you go, hey, whatever you do, pick one of these four, but don't pick Tony Gonzalez. And when you go over to the other district, pick Wes Verdell, but don't pick Hatch Smith, who's never voted in a Republican primary. And if you go up north to Ellen Troxclair and Kyle Biederman, look at those and go, you know what? We're not voting for Ellen because she's obviously likes to impeach the one guy who actually took on Joe Biden, and his name is Ken Paxton. He was sidelined for a year and a half. He's back at it again. And guess what? Uh, doesn't matter what, I know people's like, oh, well, the guy did this with his wife. And listen, you can't be throwing rocks in glass houses. Right now, we need to be fighting Joe Biden. And if you look across the country, the only person really punching away at Joe Biden is the Texas Attorney General. Some people have been gaslit and or hoodwinked to believe that his immorality or whatever the heck has happened between him and his wife is so egregious that you need to be perfect and just cast him away and remove him from attorney general. Okay, I'm not here to judge the guy. What I need is somebody to save Texas from Joe Biden. And the only one doing it in Texas is that guy. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a heavy critic of Greg Abbott. We're going to talk about him tomorrow. Let me say this, not so much in closing, but also as part of the conversation. I said this about a month ago when Greg Abbott started to put the concertina wire and all this other crap down there. I said, great. But does he have 854 miles of it? Because that's what it's going to take. Oh, by the way, that would be a wall. Well, they only did it for like 1,000 feet down there in Eagle Pass. They finally took over the park, and we're led to believe because we took over 500 yards of a park that all immigration is seized and stopped. No. If you look at the numbers, and I was proven right today, but by the way, I never want to be proven right when it comes to the border. If Greg Abbott can secure the border, I'll be the first one to applaud him and tell him to run for president. But he has failed us in the biggest way possible. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is a close second behind him. I know these are popular people with everybody because they're fighting Joe Biden. No, the guy that's fighting Joe Biden is Ken Paxton, and people impeached him for it. You see? And now you get a chance to vote those monkeys and clowns out and realize one thing. The numbers for immigration for December and January are not just the same, they are worse. So, what does that tell you about what's happened in Eagle Pass? Now, one credit I will give is guess what? In Eagle Pass, the immigration illegal invasion has really stopped. But that happened in Del Rio when the Haitians were underneath the bridge, all 18 to 24,000 of them, wreaking havoc across Del Rio. They cleaned that all up, and guess where it went? Eagle Pass. And now they're cleaning up Eagle Pass, and guess where it's gone to? Arizona and California. You just have to follow a guy named Anthony Aguero or Ben Berkwam or even Hernando Arce, which is right here out of San Antonio. The news doesn't report all these. These folks do. I try to propagate and push it here because I want you to vote the right way. It is time, absolutely time to vote the clowns out. If you are made a fool, it is your own fault. So grab open the Bible, pray for discernment, come here, and I'll tell you who to vote for because guess what? We're sick and tired of the clowns too. The entire state of Texas is under an illegal invasion, and we are paying a heavy price. We're paying for welfare, we're paying for transportation, and guess whose taxes that is? Yours and mine. I personally have had enough. I don't want to work forever to pay for illegal aliens and their school and or their welfare because guess what? In New York, just let me give you this one icing on the cake. You can go read it. They busted the bank there in New York. It got $50 million. Now, by the way, this is all legit except for only because they made the loopholes in the law happen. FEMA, FEMA can declare disaster areas. It is by and how federal money ends up in places like Houston. Okay, so if we have a hurricane in Houston, FEMA has the authority to, as long as Congress authorize or the president authorizes, to send $100 million down to Houston. And guess what? They divvy it all up to these organizations, and they're supposed to, help feed people, help shelter people. And a lot of how the money is tracked is so loose that a lot of people don't even know where the money went. because let me tell you something. There was $150 million for Katrina and another 150 million for the hurricane that hit down in Houston 4 or 5 years ago. They still can't track the money. Now let's take that and work it over to how does somebody in New York, how do they get $50 million to the bank? Well, FEMA, it's a declared disaster. So with very loose ends, they sent 50. This happened, by the way. They sent $50 million to the bank, and that's how they're giving illegal aliens $10,000. You see, that's what's happening here. Every month they get a paycheck. They might get a one lump sum up in the beginning, and then maybe a monthly welfare. Guess how that's happening? Through a FEMA declared assistance program that's been in place for years. It's meant to help Americans. But if you go down here to Eagle Pass in South Texas, ask yourself, how are all these NGOs functioning? I didn't authorize it as a voter to my representative to go vote in Congress. They've never voted. That's correct. The money gets siphoned through FEMA, and they go down there and say, this is a disaster. This illegal invasion is all a disaster. And guess what? Endeavors or whoever is out there, all these different NGOs down there, Catholic charities, they get federal money through FEMA disaster preparedness, not their laws or their regulations, and that's how you get millions and millions and millions of dollars down into South Texas, all the way to a bank in New York. Just read it up. 50. Just write, Google it. $50 million, New York. And the mayor had found himself this morning trying to tell people, how did that happen? Well, guess what? It's the FEMA declared disaster assistance program, but they're using it as welfare for illegal aliens. So when Joe Biden says to us, we don't have an invasion, well, then why is it a declared humanitarian disaster and FEMA is giving all our money away? It's the hypocrisy of it all. So now you know. But the bottom line here is Republicans in the Texas legislative body killed a border bill that would have stopped all this. You got it? And when I put up these three people, they're running to replace the judges who killed the ability for Attorney General, in this case, Ken Paxton, because it could be any Attorney General, to go after voter fraud. You see? So when a guy like me in 2020 decides to run against Will Hurd, because I don't understand why he's not securing the border. See, I saw this in 2020. Okay. And somebody tell her I said this. Good lady, her name, and we've not seen eye to eye for a long time, but Dr. Alma down in Uvalde, Arredondo Lynch, she took on Will Hurd. She saw something. I did too. And so here we are, patriots, decided we're gonna put our livelihoods on hold, and we went after a guy named Will Hurd, who turned into Tony Gonzalez, who has now been censured and is known as the NGO king, who'd rather be a Democrat except doesn't know how to do it. Bottom line here is a lot of patriots are finally seeing what we've been seeing for the last 5 to 6 years. This hell was coming. I saw it 5 years ago. This is why we did that. A lot of folks are playing politics with this, and you're all thinking this is going to be fine in 4 or 5 years. We're $33 trillion in the hole. We're going to be $1 trillion a year by 2026. This is not going to end well for our. You can make all the money, you can do all the land deals you want. Your kids are going to pay the burden of the price tag you left them because we did not stop this mess. It's as simple as declaring invasion in your county. It's as simple as not endorsing a fool like Tony Gonzalez. By the way, I'll say it one more time. This happened. I got a text earlier, and it was literally somewhere in one of the western counties. They literally had a town hall. Candidate gets up there. One of the voters comes up, says, "I'm going to vote for you." Turns around, tells the audience, because the sheriff was there and he endorsed Tony Gonzalez. He says, "You're a fool if you endorse Tony Gonzalez." He didn't say it to the sheriff. He said it to anybody who did that. Anyway, that's where we're at right now. You're going to have to start voting the Constitution and the Bible. I'm going to end it with this because I didn't think we are going to go this long, but I'm calling all Christians. You got to get out. There is an evil. If you're supporting anybody who's going to force you to vax, put cloth over your face because they got you convinced you're going to die if you don't, and to take a vax, because you have to trust the government, you're in trouble. You're in a lot worse case than I thought you'd be. All that said, wake up. Okay, stop the whining and start voting these clowns out. Okay, if your county sheriff endorsed a rhino, get him out of there. And by the way, you're going to hear a lot of, oh my God, you're calling us rhinos and this and that. What else could you be? And by the way, it's the shortened version of you're not a real Republican. If you were, we wouldn't tolerate this. You see, the good news, there's a lot of people waking up. There's a lot of people. Is it enough? I don't know. The establishment and the richy riches of this world, they've got a lot of money, and money does win elections. I mean, I'll tell you here straight out. So with that said, this is why we're here. We're telling you to get out, get your nalgas off the couch, get your friends and your parents nalgas off their couch, and go get to voting. Stop the whining, no complaining, and start voting these clowns out. And for all my Christian friends, get out and vote. If you're in church, I did this past Sunday, remind everybody, I kept it apolitical, but go vote the Bible. It's time that we put God first in this country, and he'll get us right back to where we want. Tomorrow, I'll play a video of Kirk Cameron, who is doing a lot of good work for kids, professing the Bible, trying to counter, the Disney World indoctrination of kids to do the LGBT. And he gave a really, I'll play it tomorrow, but he gave a great video segment where he said, listen, what if this isn't the end of the United States? Because a lot of people are in that mindset. I'm a never give up kind of guy. If it is at the end of the United States, I'm never going to know it because I'm going to go down fighting. But he said something wonderful. He said, what if this is not the end of the United States, as everybody, it's, sure, we're in a bad spot. And he admitted that. But what if this is an opportunity for America to wake up and just redo America like it was supposed to be done from the years of our founding fathers? True constitutional, God-fearing men that put God first and then led this country to prosperity. We do that again, folks, we're going to be just fine. But I'm here to remind you yesterday, today, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Go vote the clowns out, because in November, I really don't think, for anybody who's into the Republican world, you don't have enough keep it red juice to get me to go vote for Tony Gonzalez. And we will lose the House, because guess what? The base is tired of losing in the primaries, whether it was gerrymandered that way or whatever the case may be, to find out that in November, you're going to try to convince them that they're bad Republicans when they don't go vote for the rhinos. It's not going to happen anymore. And the House in DC and the House in Austin is going to go blue, not because we're turning liberal, but because we've had enough of the crap. You see? So, but that said, it's your responsibility. If you're a conservative Christian constitution who's had enough, it's your responsibility to get out there and go do something about it. Because guess what? If you let them win, it's your damn fault too. So all that said, go vote and keep it positive. Okay. We're the happy warriors here. Doesn't mean we're going to lay over and just let you do whatever you want. That's why I'm here. We don't do a whole lot of other stuff other than just keep professing that Christ is the answer. If you don't know him, let us know. We'll be happy to talk to you about that. And if he's already in your heart, go vote the Bible and vote the clowns out. With all that said, God bless you guys. We'll see you. Wow, like 55 minutes. I was only going to go 20 minutes. Tomorrow, we'll have more data. I want to make sure, let me show this one more time. This is the Bexar County vote. We're going to get, it hasn't changed, folks. But as you can see, this is the Democrat Republican count on the left and the right side. If you go down here, 2,900, almost 3,000 Democrats voted, but looks like we kicked their butts at 37-43. Hopefully, they all voted for real Republicans and not these fake wannabes, because come November, I'm not sure that there's just no way I'm voting against my conscience anymore. It's just not going to happen. So all that said, listen, have a good night. It's Tuesday. Tomorrow's a Wednesday. It's hump day. I had my Rubio water in case I needed it. Looks like I made it through the 55 minutes here. And we're going to have some candidates on here. If you're hearing me, you want to be on here, as long as you're God-fearing and you're toting the Republican constitutional Christian conservative line, you're going to be led on the show and give you 5 minutes to tell us who you are. Okay, hasta la bye-bye. Get your nalgas off the couch. Go vote. God bless you. We'll see you mañana.